I want to talk a little bit this morning about what I'm seeing as civil separation. Today's November 11th. We're waiting on the truthful, honest results of the election to be worked out. Seems like the Trump team is uncovering a lot of evidence, irregularities, fraud, all kinds of stuff in the election. We'll see what transpires. I think it'll take it'll take a huge effort to get this thing overturned into Trump's favor, and I'm trying to stay positive about it. It would just it would be basically the biggest thing to happen in this country, maybe ever, for this thing to get overturned. People would just freak out. So what is that civil separation, or that civil anxiety, that civil war? I hate to use the term civil war, but to get the point across, what does that look like? It would basically be the gun-toting conservatives against the new liberal government and their followers. And I'm just trying to be totally honest. I don't think that's a reasonable fight. I don't think there's a good outcome there for us. When you're dealing with fighting the government, it's not like it was in the 1770s, where a lot of the British government, a lot of their forces were overseas, and we had to focus on closing the beaches and the ports down and not letting them get their resources in. So now we're fighting a domestic enemy with their resources are all over the place. So I don't think that's a feasible conflict that will work in our favor. So we're going to be backed into a corner to where we won't be able to fight in the court system, because those will be bought and paid for by the left. They'll be totally skewed to the left. They'll change all the laws that we could help argue with. So we won't be able to settle our differences in democracy. So where does that leave us? Where can this movement go if we can't legally and rationally fight for our values and expect to win every once in a while? And I don't have the answers to these. I'm just throwing it out there to let you ponder what it'll look like when all the forces are against us and there's no reasonable expectation that we could ever win an argument or a fight. Do we secede? Do we get a collection of states together to secede from the federal government? Do we stop paying federal taxes? Do we stop using federal programs? It'll take a large effort of organizing and trying to get things done. And I don't know, with how separated society is, if that's something that could happen. We all have a lot of responsibilities. We got to feed our families. We have to take care of our businesses. We have to stay out of legal trouble. So with all those forces working against us, what do? We need to get a constitutional convention together. But if we can't organize, if we can't be heard in the courts, is there any path to maintaining our values? I don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. So our only hope right now is that this recent election, if we can expose the fraud, so we have some quote-unquote integrity in our elections again, because nobody will trust the election process. I know I won't. If they can just steal it, if they can rig it every time, there's no reason to go vote. So it really sets us back as a society if we don't have any confidence in those democratic norms. So I'm just throwing those points out there for everybody to ponder and maybe come up with their solutions that they've thought of. Throw them in the comments below. I know there's a big march in Washington this weekend. That's good. That's a good start. We'll see if anything comes of it. I know the truckers are talking about striking for a couple days, and that's good. But you know, like I said, with how dependent we are on the media and social media, when they censor us, it makes it impossible to organize. You know, the founding fathers, they met in church to come up with their plans and their revolutionary ideas. You know, and now because of the virus, they're closing churches. And if that wasn't enough for people to raise holy hell and start a revolution, then I don't think anything will be. If you can't go to church and you just say, well, okay, well, it is what it is. I don't think we have the fighting spirit as patriots to make much headway with any of this. So just some things to ponder for today. There's a whole bunch of crazy news cycle. It moves so fast. So we'll try and do one of these here in a little bit.